How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the official Rule Thirds podcast, exclusive, obviously, to RuleThirds.com, CinemaTalk. Today's episode is going to be a little bit off topic. It's a bit of a deviation from what we usually do, considering we try to theme it accordingly. But today, me and my fellow co-hosts are just gonna splooge on why we love Pixar. And you'll know why we specifically chose that topic in just a matter of seconds. But on that note, my name is Larry.
I'm Max.
And I'm Sean Capterville. Oh, there he is. See, he never left. He was always right there.
I was just paranoid last time.
Anyway, so, Max, to infinity and the lobby.
Ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Is infinity equal to the lobby, or is it like greater than or less than?
No, to calculate the lobby, you have to do infinity over delta.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you use that, and then if you really want to go the extra mile, if you can just take delta and divide it by the square root of the paradigm shift, and then you'll be able to figure out the lobby's distance from the other lobby.
The paradigm shift is such a difficult thing to write down. It's like so many different numbers and stuff. I swear.
Many different letters. Just write down profanity. They'll know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Anyway, hi everyone. Welcome back to Cinema Talk. Once again, the official Rule Thirds podcast, exclusively to RuleThirds.com. I'm Larry, and with me is my co-host Max. How you doing,
Yay.
Max? How's it going?
I'm doing good. I'm confident. I'm going through finals right now, I'm going through final projects. And I'm pretty confident that I'm going to get everything done on time.
Yeah, Mr. Max Mariner I have to congratulate you, sir, and also respect you on 2 consecutive 12-hour work shifts.
Yep, I was working as an AD, second AD the first day, and a first assistant director, one of the key positions on the second day.
Yeah, that must have been...
I don't think nothing too much to brag about, but it was a good experience, and I think I did my job moderately well.
Yes, well, we hope, and hopefully the project that you happen to be working on, hopefully that comes out spectacularly.
Oh yeah.
So now it's time to talk very quickly about what's gone up on the site. We've had some great stuff go up on the site. First off, Max gave us a newsreel. Glad to see it return. A newsreel on the latest announcement on the Star Wars Episode 7 official cast. We got a full list. We got some interesting players here.
Yeah, a bunch of interesting players that people don't really know well.
Yeah,
and that's cool. I like that because that's how it's a bunch of actors that we not really familiar with, and also Andy Serkis, which is just like how it was back then. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, they weren't known. Alec Guinness was totally well known. He was a well-respected British actor, so it's nice to see that it's sort of a parallel here. And they're all good, and I think, from what I understand, they're all really good actors, especially Oscar Isaac, who was Llewyn Davis.
Yeah, I ended up seeing that movie later after Oscar season, and I gotta say, he was great.
Yeah, those people's lives are about to change forever.
Totally.
Honestly, especially that Daisy Ridley that woman. That she's brand new to the scene. Only worked in independent short films and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, but what else went up on the site, Larry?
All right, well, the rest of the stuff came from me. Not to brag or anything. First off, on Saturday, I posted a Rule Thirds written review of The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Dang, that was quick.
Yeah. Well, I saw it on Friday, and I had a lot of stuff to say, so I apologize if it's a tad long-winded, but there's definitely a lot to say about it, and did I like it? Did I not like it? The answer may surprise you.
Yeah, the answer may surprise me. I actually haven't had time to read it yet.
Oh, yeah, well, just go read it.
Okay. Well, I'm busy recording, Larry. God, why don't you understand? You're not my dad. You don't understand me. God.
No, listen, Max. When I was your age, reading reviews was not a very hard thing to do.
Well,
okay?
You know what? These days, all the letters are so small. You have to work on it, okay? and the words are so big, like juxtaposition. Who the hell juxtaposition? Who even, Larry? God.
If you want to realize whether or not I actually use the word juxtaposition or not in that review, you can go read it. And I also on this past Sunday posted another episode of The Greats on the first female subject, Miss Audrey Hepburn.
Oh, that's it. Okay,
yes,
cool.
A classic stylish, lavish icon of the 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And even Google is celebrating. I tweeted about this. The Google Doodle for today is on Audrey Hepburn.
Today, you mean Sunday, Larry? You mean
Well,
Sunday?
yeah,
obviously.
Sunday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. There's a day.
Sorry, Wednesdays feel like Sundays
Yeah,
sometimes. guys.
it's weird. Oh, by the way, I meant to mention this back when we mentioned Star Wars, but may the 4th be with you. We're recording this on May 4th, the official Star Wars day.
I mean, there was a lot of really cool stuff that came out of May 4th, but no, like, Star Wars news outside of a trailer for the new TV show, which is fine, which is whatever, it's fine. But, like, I would have liked to see something about Episode 7, like some kind of poster or subtitle or something. But anyway, you know what? Everybody's been talking about Star Wars. Can we just like talk about something else?
Okay,
please?
yes. Let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about something that literally has like nothing to do with the film industry right now.
Yeah, not well. No.
Okay,
not
it's a
really.
big part of it, but it's
Yes.
not like relevant right now. In fact, it's not relevant this year for the first time ever. Like for the first time, no, not for the first time ever. For the first time in quite a while.
Are they not? Oh, okay. I'll just ask this question later after my introduction. Speaking of which, all the talk today has been about Star Wars and superheroes. I want to talk about something different. So, Max, let me paint you a word picture. This past Thursday, I am a resident of New Jersey, for those who are not aware. And no, I do not have an accent, nor do I live on the shore, nor am I as tan as an orange. I just want to put that out there so that way people aren't asking.
And you're not Don John.
And I'm not Don John.
Okay, all right, fine.
And so I live in Jersey.
I'll believe you.
I live in Central Jersey. And so on Thursday, I went out to New York. I don't go to New York very often, only on very special occasions, and this was a very special occasion. The New York Philharmonic, for those who are not aware, the Philharmonic is a very prestigious orchestra that performs. They have multiple Philharmonics around the world. The New York one is in Lincoln Center in New York City. And so I went to New York to watch the Philharmonic perform a special concert entitled Pixar in Concert.
Ooh, there's the word. There's that beautiful name.
The concert is pretty much a huge collection of scores, or montages of scores, rather, from Pixar films. Every single Pixar film that has come out so far, all the way from Toy Story to Monsters University, the orchestra performed the most memorable pieces from the film. And Max, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I really like the soundtrack. I mean, we'll get into it later, but I really like the soundtrack to Monsters University, and it would have been. It sounds like it was awesome to hear it in concert.
It was there. I mean, it astounded me on multiple levels of my personality. I happen to be a very musical person. I also happen to be a very film-oriented person.
So the two things come together.
Yeah,
nice little Reese's cup for you.
Exactly. It kind of blew my freaking mind. So. After that, I pretty much got on a Pixar high because I realized I hadn't really watched or really done anything with Pixar in a very long time.
And so here we are.
And so I got the idea. Hey, Max, let's talk about Pixar because nobody else seems to be doing it.
Yeah, seriously.
Right. And so today we are just going to talk about Pixar, why we love them so much, some of our favorite films, some of our favorite things, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Let's get started. So we're just going to start off by chronologically going through every single film that Pixar has done and just giving our overall thoughts. I guess we'll have to start off with Toy Story, but I don't think we can really give any thoughts that haven't already been given.
Well, I mean, see, Larry, the thing with Pixar is that, it sort of began a little bit before us, but, it was still right there. Toy Story represents the beginning of a new age of animation, kind of. It wasn't I don't think it was the first or maybe it was the first fully 3D animated film, and it was a huge thing. It was it was using the Pixar computer developed by Steve Jobs. It was from a screenplay written by Joss Whedon, and it had it was directed, I believe, by, if I'm not mistaken, John Lasseter, who's one of the most financially successful film directors out there. And it was the beginning of a new era. It's very important to the history of film, and it even got a special achievement award at the Academy Awards. I think that was before the best animated film category was created, I think. So that's why it got that special achievement.
Yes, I know that Shrek was the first. I think Shrek was the first film to win animated film, best animated film, and that movie I think came out in 1998.
What? No, Shrek came out in 2001.
Oh, 2001. I'm thinking of a different film.
You're thinking of, I don't know,
something else. I'm thinking of something else. Anyway, that film is still timeless, by the way. So, Toy Story, it's a classic film. It's a fantastic film. full of great lines, great scenes, great animation, a great cast too. Tim Allen and Tom Hanks of all people together. And it's probably one of the most timeless movies of all time. I can still watch Toy Story to this day.
I think it might be my favorite of the trilogy, which is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. I think one of its best parts is actually the ongoing story of Buzz Lightyear. How, like, it really is a kind of a toy having an existential crisis about being a toy. And even back when we were kids watching this film, it was honestly like kind of sad to see him like finally realize it. And then when you watch it as an adult, that's like something that people go through like every day. Yeah, the understanding of your own insignificance. That's a fear that like a lot of people, myself included, have. So I think Buzz Lightyear is one of the most interesting animated characters to come out of this era and come out of Pixar because it's so real despite being made for kids. And that is something I think that Pixar has really, striven us. That's something that Pixar is really known for, making stories that really, like, even though they can appeal to kids, they dive into themes that adults can appreciate just as much.
Indeed, that is their.
But if we want to get through every single Pixar movie,
yes,
I mean, we're going to have to move on to the next one.
Yes, we need to move a little faster. Just a quick fun fact. Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear is actually the symbol for the concert. The concert's logo is Buzz Lightyear holding a...
Oh, well, of course it is. I mean, it's Buzz Lightyear.
It's Buzz freaking Lightyear.
I still think that there's an alternate universe in which Buzz Lightyear was voiced by George Clooney and nobody complained. George Clooney is Buzz Lightyear. I mean, did you see Gravity?
Yes, I definitely saw Gravity, Max. You, of all people, know I saw Gravity.
Yeah.
That's another discussion for another day. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have probably one of their more underrated films, in my honest opinion, A Bug's Life.
Yeah, A Bug's Life, I haven't seen in a long time, and even though I have the DVD, I haven't seen it in a while.
I really like A Bug's Life, and I especially love its score, especially after listening to it in concert. Its score is just beautiful. Like, it's great, triumphant. It's also a little jazzy, and another great part of it is just it has a great cast of characters. I think all the circus bugs in the movie are very likable characters, and I think it tells a very good story. It tells the simple underdog story, and it completely finishes off in a fantastic battle scene that I really enjoy. And I think a lot of people don't like A Bug's Life, and I really don't know why at all.
Did you know? I just found this out actually. Kevin Spacey was the voice of the grasshopper.
Was he now?
Yeah, Kevin
awesome.
Spacey, one of the most respected actors out there right now. He voiced the grasshopper. I'm gonna watch the movie again just because of that. Bug's Life has an incredible cast.
Yes.
It's like it's always nice to like look at animated films you watch from your childhood and see, oh my god, I know all these actors. I know how talented they are. This is awesome. So yeah, it's great. The movie actually. I mean, I don't know if Pixar has come out and admit it, but the movie is actually a sort of a remake, a retelling of one of the most famous films of all time, The Seven Samurai, from Akira Kurosawa, one of the most famous and most important film directors in history.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, just like The Magnificent Seven, which was a Western back in the day. Yeah, A Bug's Life is Pixar's take on The Seven Samurai, and I haven't seen The Seven Samurai, though I am a student of film, so I'm going to see if I can maybe watch both that and Bug's Life together and see just like how similar they are. So I really like that. I wonder if we'll see that again if they like take a movie like, I don't know, The Seventh Seal from Ingmar Bergman or something, or another classical movie and kind of put it in their own Pixar terms, because I think that's really cool.
I agree.
Yeah. So
moving on.
What's after that? Let's see. What is it?
It's Toy Story 2 is next.
The first Pixar sequel. And
yes.
Man, what is this? What a sequel it was.
Indeed, it definitely expanded upon the universe tenfold. But a lot of people find it the weakest of the trilogy.
Really? I've heard it was like the strongest. Like I've heard like, and we're talking weakest and strongest in the Toy Story thing. It's like this movie is only just a tiny bit less magnificent than the other one. Like the weakest is it's very difficult to point out.
I personally found Toy Story 2 the weakest when I watched it as a child because I didn't find it as interesting as the original. Because I felt that Toy Story 2, the reason is because it handled a lot deeper subjects and it wasn't as subtle about it as Toy Story 1 was.
Yeah, but you watch it today and it's like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I rewatched it. I still think it's the weakest of the trilogy, just because some of the characters are a little bit flimsy, in my opinion. But I still think that it continues to handle a very intricate subject. And surprisingly enough, it still is able to be incredibly believable, despite the fact it's from the minds of toys, children's
Yeah.
playthings.
It's about the series is all about self-awareness, and it really carried on to that, especially dealing with Woody, who was more or less just kind of a jerk in the first movie, and now he's, like, really developed, and now, like, we get a sense of, like, who he is. Like, there's a lot that comes with knowing that you're a toy. Just like in Wreck-It Ralph, there's a lot to knowing that you are a video game character. So the fact that they explore this so much is a really, really good idea, and I think the movie really worked out. Especially with the villain, who I saw his Toy Story 2, I think 5 times in movie theaters back when it came out. So, I mean, I've seen it a lot, and that twist always gets to me. That it always does. Always.
I don't know, that character, what's his name?
Prospector something.
Pete the Prospector, whatever his name.
Yeah, Prospector Pete or something.
I don't know. I didn't feel him. I didn't feel his character very much.
But Jesse's entire arc was
Jesse's
unbelievable.
Arc is it's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful montage.
It's really
that
sad,
gets me
too.
every time.
Yeah, seriously, it's really sad. One of the best sequences Pixar ever did, like animation sequences, just how it told the story, and god, even as a kid, I was like, "That's so sad, poor Jesse."
Exactly.
And I said it just like that,
And that will continue when we hit the trequel. But we got a ton of movies to go before that. So, the next film is Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. was
classic.
the first film I ever. Let's see, was it first film I ever think I sort of? All right, this is kind of a personal story. I sort of cried at the end of Monsters Inc. because of how beautiful it was. But Larry, I want you to know that what I'm about to tell you is a little bit gross. I cried so much, I actually pissed myself. I was like, "This is such a great movie." Yeah.
Maxwell, TMI, my good friend.
I was like, yeah.
On a lighter note,
I was sick. I was 6. I was not sick. I was 6.
Fine,
give me a break, would you?
We'll give you that. But on a lighter note and a less soily note, I love Monsters Inc. I think
Monsters Inc. is incredible.
The great part about it, not only is the song that came from it so great.
Yeah.
I just think the dynamic between Billy Crystal and John Goodman is so good. And that's really what keeps the movie together, is that their chemistry and their relationship, especially during the parts where they're in the cold and they're arguing and their friendship still lives on. It's such a classic friendship and easily one of my favorite duos in all of film, honestly.
Yeah, I remember when the film was actually coming out, the first teaser trailer they had, and this is something that Pixar used to do a lot, and they don't do it anymore, but they had teaser trailers that was kind of like a scene of the movie. Like, it would just be a scene from the movie, and then they would go, and then it would just be, this movie's coming out. And it was sort of, I think at the time, like a demonstration of, oh, look how better this animation has become with, like, character interaction and stuff. But they also used it to, like, introduce the characters, and the one from Monsters Inc. was just like, you think, oh my god, it's gonna be evil monsters, and then these two guys just start, like, arguing about, like, oh man, we're in the wrong place. It's like, looking back, I didn't really get it, but, like, now, it's, like, it's a totally great trailer because it symbolizes the characters' relationship so well. And considering how subversive this entire movie is, I mean, geez, it was not afraid to, like, point out all the energy, like, all the problems with the energy crisis at the time, and it's still going on today.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more deeper, like, Pixar's just great at kind of, like, shoveling under some deeper symbolism.
Yeah, and it wasn't, like, afraid to, like, it didn't, it was, like, the first instance I remember of, like, honest-to-God Pixar storytelling, which had always been there before, but, like, here it was, like, they weren't afraid to, like, go places that, like, other animated films wouldn't go, but just wouldn't think to. They're like, instead of doing this, which most animated films do, we'll just do it like this. And though it was little, it was, like, even though it didn't make that much of a difference, it was still appreciated.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that the underlying conflict in Monsters, Inc., corruption of businesses, energy crises, it's a great metaphor for probably the future of life, period.
Yeah,
And that's one of the reasons I like it even to this day.
It still holds up. And it's kind of sad how much it holds up. It's like if your kid is like, it's like an inconvenient truth for kids. Like, pretty much.
Except that Al Gore is now an 8-eyed spider.
Yeah, probably.
Instead. Next up, we have Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo.
I think it should. Ellen DeGeneres as Dory is probably one of the greatest cinematic revelations ever. She is just such a funny character, and even to this day, I still laugh at all of her jokes. Every single one of them.
Yeah, Ellen DeGeneres, like, that's how this is how I got introduced to her. And man, Finding Nemo is, like, both really sad and really, like, uplifting, and God, it is just so beautiful. That movie has, like, probably one of my favorite Pixar soundtracks. It's so beautiful, especially like just like when they're like swimming through like I guess the coral reef at the beginning, just like that really nice, that really like tranquil. It really does symbolize the kind of mood that they're going for. And what I like is that it doesn't define the atmosphere. It just complements it, which I think is the strength of all great film scores.
Indeed.
Yeah, so
there's a lot more about score to talk about with these films. Specifically, this next one. The Incredibles, directed by Brad Bird.
Wow, that was really quick. I mean, Larry, do you have anything to say on Finding Nemo before we get to The Incredibles?
I think it's just its comedy is probably the strongest part about it. It's funny, still very heartfelt. It's got a great cast of characters. It's everything that a Pixar movie is.
And Crush.
And Crush, dude.
Everybody likes to do that voice. I don't because I'm not good at it. At least,
I don't know.
And Larry, at least I can admit that.
What? What? Next movie, The Incredibles.
Oh, The Incredibles.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go ahead and say this is my favorite Pixar movie aside from the Toy Story trilogy.
I don't know. I got some tough competition.
I've watched this like all the way through. I'm going to say I really can't find an issue with it. I honestly can't. Like, everything works on such a thematic, on such an incredibly high level. Like, everything from the story, to the pacing, to the action, to like its thematic foundation. Like, this movie is, I said it in the recommendation nomination from like a year back. This movie is Watchmen for kids. It has like the same idea, the same structure, and the same sort of like conveyance. It's like really, really, really deep, and it's at the same time extremely fun. And those action sequences are really awesome.
Oh, fantastic!
Especially that last
action.
one.
Yeah.
Like, I think it all like comes down to when everyone's super, nobody will be. Like, no one will be. Like that right there, you know. And, like, I remember just there are so many great moments, and the fact that it's so stylized and like in 1960s gear, I think is just like really, it really kind of radiates the kind of wonder and joy that comes from Pixar. And, you know, again, even though it's deep, it's also really just fun to watch. And, like, you know, and of course, everybody loves Samuel L. Jackson as Frozone.
Honey, where is my super suit? Why do you need to know?
It's about the public good. The public good. I am your wife.
I am the greatest good that you are ever gonna get.
Oh God,
I love that scene.
I feel like I just pissed off some people with that X.
Anyway. I love
accent.
The Incredibles. It's got great animation. It's got great action scenes, and it has a great score. My word, is it just poppy and it gets you pumped.
Yeah, there's a reason why people have been legitimately asking for an Incredibles 2 since the first one came out.
Yeah, apparently they've confirmed. Have they confirmed?
Brad Bird, the director, who is probably one of my favorite directors out there right now. He confirmed it. Brad Bird is also the director of The Iron Giant, which is probably my favorite 2D animated film. And also Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and the upcoming Tomorrowland, which is set to come out, I think, around the same time as Star Wars, something like that. But yeah, Brad Bird's a genius.
He was also the director of Ratatouille, which
we'll
get to in just a second.
I was not going to mention that.
Well, I was, because I want to mention it. But The Incredibles, fantastic movie.
The Incredibles was... Wait, Larry, can we say it?
No.
That The Incredibles was...
No.
Wonderful. That's what I was going to say.
Okay, good. So I think The Incredibles also, if you strip away the superheroes, it's just a family, and that's really what's great about it. It just ties in intergalactic problems.
Yeah, and it's not afraid to make things like really kind of awkward, like that scene in like that dinner scene.
Oh my
god, that was like
awkward.
That was it was awkward, but it was like that was okay. Usually you don't get that with
I
movies.
love Syndrome. Can I say that I love? Yeah,
Syndrome
his
is awesome.
Remember, I'm your biggest fan. Oh my god, it gets me every time.
And it's really sad, actually, like the fact that he created his own worst enemy. That's
It is. And by the way, remember, Max, no capes. No capes. Moving on, in my opinion, the first chink in the Pixar armor.
Oh, really?
Cars.
Cars,
I did not like Cars.
People don't like Cars like a lot, and I've never understood that. I've always enjoyed Cars a whole lot. But I think one of the, going back to that trailer thing I was talking about with Monsters Inc., if you watch the original teaser trailer for Cars, first off, the art style is very, the character style is very different, how they look and stuff, but it's just like a race instead of interaction between characters. So I think that for a lot of people, that difference represents Cars' quality in comparison with the other Pixar, films. And Personally, I really enjoy it. I really like, where it goes and, like, how it kind of creates this, like, atmosphere. It is a fish out of water, stranger in a strange land story type, and I've never, like, had a problem with it. But I know a lot of people don't like it.
I think the main reason I just didn't like it is because it just didn't really do much for me. I mean, first, I was never a big fan of the entire concept of talking cars. I just thought that was way too abstract.
Yeah, Chevron did it first, Pixar. God.
No, it's not that. It's that, like, think about it. We've had talking toys, talking bugs, talking monsters, talking fish, and then
talking
humans.
Superheroes. Wait.
Yeah. But, like, it was like those, that's fine. But there's enough that you can make something realistic. Cars, to me, had so much potential to be so much different. So much more different than it really was. And I will say, there are some clever jokes in Cars. I remember one clever joke where there's a bunch of, like, women cars waiting on the women's line for the bathroom. I found that was very clever. And a couple other jokes about how, like, cars are, like, being advertisements for oil companies. That's also pretty clever. Yeah. But I think that the main reason Cars just fails for me is because it doesn't do anything new. It's kind of the first Pixar film where it fails to hit new ground. Cars just kind of redid what Toy Story 2 did, in a sense that, like, it's about okay, spoilers for all the Pixar movies. It's about a car who was once a star and now he's done with Doc Hudson's whole storyline.
And I love Doc Hudson. I think he was a great character.
He's a great character.
Wait, is it Doc Hudson or is it Doc something else?
No, it's Doc Hudson. I saw
and it was really nice. I think that was one of Paul Newman's final roles. Like, he died in 2008, and Paul Newman's like one of the most prestigious actors of all time, and like that, it was really cool looking back to hear him, because he's like, he's like the man. So
yeah, he's got great voice.
It was one of his last roles, and I really like Doc Hudson's character and like how it kind of taught Lightning just like kind of embrace not the old exactly, but just kind of embrace the quiet instead of always the new tech and new craziness that the world has to offer. It was a bit like it wasn't like embrace tradition. It was more like just embrace the quiet side of life, which I liked.
Yeah, I get it, but it's like it's just like I don't like.
But that's not interesting for a lot of people. That's not interesting at all, and I totally get that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like, it's kind of like they were treading multiple cliche grounds. It's old versus new. How old can be just as good as new. How the underdog, who was so cocky in the beginning, it learns how to be a nice, more fair guy. And the fish out of water story about how he hates the town in the beginning, and then he begins to love all of his new neighbors, and it goes down such a rickety path.
I'll give you that, but I really liked the ending because it was, again, that, like, little Pixar storytelling in which, like, it wasn't exactly what I expected at all. Like, even he learned his lesson, so shouldn't he deserve to win? But he doesn't. He doesn't win. In fact, he lets the a-hole get away with it. And he instead goes...
I was surprised that the a-hole did get away with it.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, because he didn't matter. Because he wasn't, like, in the end, it wasn't about getting revenge on him. It was just, like, he overall just, like, had no place. He was... he was going to win, but what would that really do for him? He wouldn't take anything away from it. Instead, he went to go help out that other guy, and I think that was really cool. And I personally enjoy Cars a whole lot, but I know a lot of people don't.
But moving on to a completely different story, Ratatouille, by Brad Bird. I love Ratatouille. I really do.
My entire family loves Ratatouille. I'm not like, I think it's a really good movie. I'm just not like, it's not one of Pixar's best.
I got it. I don't know. The score is just so beautifully French and American. It's a great hybrid of both styles if you listen to it.
Now, let me ask: does it prey on stereotypes when it comes to French stuff? Like, does it do that?
Kinda. I mean, there's this great line in the film. I actually just rewatched it before we recorded, just because I felt like it. And so there's this one great line where there's an interview happening, and the French girl comes over to a French guy and she goes to the press, and she's like, "Well, I hate to interrupt, but we're French," and they just leave. And I love that line, and I think that they do harp on the whole French accent, and everybody's French, and everybody's like out for themselves, and all that kind of stuff. And it's true. It's there. Nearly every single French character is a nearly completely unsympathetic, by the books, character. And I think eventually one of them turns ahead, but. That's just how it goes.
I think one of my favorite characters in that film, though, was, what is his name? I don't remember what it was, but he's the critic. And And I remember,
Anton
like...
Ego, right?
Yeah.
Peter O'Toole.
And I think... And it's weird. From what I... Oh, was Peter O'Toole? Really? Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, Peter O'Toole.
Yeah. It's like, somebody could, like, do some kind of show about him or something, like, talk about his life and career. It's like I didn't even watch that or something, even though Okay. Anyway,
Weird.
what I really liked about like that character was that his ending monologue in which he talked about being a critic and stuff. I think that resonated with a lot of film critics at the time, and that's I think why a lot of film critics embraced what he said. I don't remember what the monologue was entirely, but it was very honest. It was not like filmmakers tend to get very frustrated at film critics. I mean, not like us, because we don't get nobody listens to us, right, Larry? Nobody listens.
Yeah.
Nobody listens to us. Yeah. But yeah, well, a lot of film critics get frustrated at. I mean, a lot of filmmakers get frustrated at film critics because they're always so harsh, even though they put so much effort into it. This, on the other hand, coming from Pixar, who critics have just gushed on all up until Cars, I guess, was like. People were just, it was very honest. It was not like, they weren't going to be like, oh, you critics are awesome because you love our films. It was just like, this critic, critics struggle, we as critics struggle with this. And I think, and that's why I really like that character. But other than that, though, yeah, the film is very, 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 very solid. It's got a great script, great score, great all that. It just doesn't hit it, home for me like a lot of other Pixar films, including the next one we're going to talk about.
I just want to go back to that monologue. That monologue is really just mainly about how nostalgia, because that character kind of has a nostalgia moment, where he goes back and the whole monologue is pretty much about how, all critics love to write bad reviews.
Yeah, criticism used to be just a way to be elaborate about why you did like something. That's how it started. It was the first remixes.
Exactly, and people but the problem is that when you really love something, even though you've had such a dead set opinion, if you really have to go with your gut, and if that opinion is changed, you really have to just be honest about it.
Yeah.
And and I love that monologue, even though it kind of deviates from the entire theme that the film has in general. And though it's very deep and a little too deep for the film, I still like it, and I still think it's a beautifully written and beautifully spoken monologue.
And I do think I do think a lot of people love the film because it is about the dreamer who goes out and does what he wants to do. It's it's just about and I think a lot of us, you and I, Larry, we can relate to that. And so we
I just love the idea of a rat cooking. I think that's a great concept, and they execute it perfectly.
It is, it's a nice little contrast. It's like, oh my god, rats in there. Oh my god, they must be contaminated. But this rat, no, even though he looks like a regular rat, he actually can cook like a legend. Mm-hmm. Which I like how they never really explain that, and I don't mind that at all. I've never been a guy who's like, man, why didn't they explain why Ratatouille is such a great cook? It's
it was mainly just him being all, he kept going to that old lady's house and watching Cousteau videos and on the cooking channel and reading his books.
Okay, yeah.
So that was kind of their way of inching it in. But I still think it's a great movie. Definitely one of my favorites.
I would say, honestly, based on my enjoyment, it's the weakest of Brad Bird's films from what I've seen, personally. But it's still a very solid film. Definitely go watch it. You know what? When I get home after all this college stuff, I'm gonna go watch a bunch of Pixar movies.
Yeah.
Maybe my opinion will change about Ratatouille. I haven't seen it in years.
Who knows?
Anyway, moving on to 2008, which, oh boy, here we go.
Okay, so Wall-E, directed by Andrew Stanton.
Wall-E.
That movie was actually years in the making. Back when back when all the Pixar directors like Andrew Stanton, Brad Bird,
John Lasseter, all that stuff.
John Lasseter, all those people, when they were meeting up together to create new ideas,
they came up with
Monsters Inc. and then Toy Story, and then Finding Nemo, and then they came up with Wall-E. And for some reason, that never came until now.
Yeah,
because I think
love that.
This was the perfect time to do it.
Yeah,
that's why they did it then.
There are so many great stories behind the making of movies at Pixar. If you're not familiar with how Pixar works, it's basically just it starts with an idea and it becomes a movie 4 years later. And instead of just letting employees go and to work on other companies, Pixar has a very strong in-house staff that just works on films as they go on. It's a very different kind of process for filmmaking, just in terms of from one company's standpoint. So just based on that, based on that distinction, it does create kind of a scenario where it's there's all these great stories. Yeah.
I think Wall-E is probably the most what's the word? It's like it has probably the deepest and most controversial ideas behind it.
Yeah, I mean,
Which I mean,
when
like
even
you can talk about how
you know,
movies have talked about like existential crises and all this stuff. But when you talk about Wall-E, Wall-E literally is a commentary about how the human society will completely kill itself off.
yeah, if
In
it
the long
continues,
run. That's really what it's all about.
And the
a
fact
lot
is,
of people like that, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah, it was a very controversial movie when it came out, and I even got what it was trying to say. And what's funny is it came out in 2008, right as one of the most most divisive presidential elections in a long time happened. Like, that was going on during Wall-E's announcement. And then when this political issue was brought up in this Pixar movie, people got both really defensive and really supportive.
Yeah, that's some interesting thoughts. I mean, personally, Wall-E is just one of those films. I mean, when I watched it, I didn't have any idea what was going on as thematically. I saw a bunch of fat people in cars. Well, not cars, like floating chairs. And I didn't really know what to make of it. It looked kind of funny. But, then when I watch it again and I'm kind of a bit more, cinematically evolved, I see all of these deep symbols with all the humans being obese and all technology taking over and how technology begins to overtake the actual captain.
And how, one big company controls all of this.
Oh, yeah, that's what kind of strings together the Pixar theory. But it's a very interesting, I would say commentary, but I'm also going to say insight, because I kind of think Pixar predicted the future, or is predicting the near future.
Just in terms of how corporations and
exactly.
I mean corporation, or if anything, how they would become an issue. Like corporations, they were nowhere near as big of an issue to talk about and whatnot as they are today. Like with the Occupy movement and whatnot, corporations have become one of the key words to use in debates regarding politics and business and whatnot.
Right. I mean, it's more than just that. I mean, and also, of course, the love story between Wall-E and Eve is a very well done love story. It's one of those no talking love stories.
Yep, where it's just all action in it, and God, do you remember that sequence where Wall-E's going through the stars and he's just
with the fire extinguisher? Yeah, I know that scene.
It's also about discovery and whatnot in this. Yeah. In this weird, crazy space atmosphere, and I've always thought that was really cool. It's an incredible movie. I thought at the time it was my favorite Pixar movie, but that changed. That changed later. I was gonna segue, but then I realized that my favorite Pixar movie is not the one we're about to talk about now.
Moving on from Wall-E, Up, directed by Pete Docter.
Larry, I feel like it's sort of disrespectful to talk about Up and not have Sean here, because Sean loves Up. He loves it so much, and I don't know. It just feels weird to be talking about Up without him to talk about how great that opening sequence is and all the characters and whatnot. I don't know. What do you think?
Listen.
Yeah.
Look, okay. Sean, this is dedicated to you. All right. We know you love
fine.
this movie.
You've
gotten to say what you think. He's gotten to say what he wants to say on recommendation domination. All right. We get to say what we think.
All right.
I also like Up very much. I think it's one of Pixar's most emotional films. Because you can look at Toy Story 2 and that gets some impact. Monsters, Inc., that gets some impact. Up nearly had me sobbing.
The impact
first 5 minutes of Up
certainly increased. In fact, you might say it went up.
I'm not even going to respond to what just went down. Hello, everyone. This is Larry. I'm currently editing CinemaTalk, and as I'm listening, unfortunately, the audio kind of hit a bit of a glitch around now. This recording session was unfortunately plagued by shoddy internet and just some poor connection. So the audio on my side sounds a little off. So I'm just asking that you bear with it. You're about 2/3 of the way through. I tried fixing up my audio as much as possible. It's still a little bit shoddy, so I apologize for that. But hey, thanks for watching this episode of Cinema Talk. Enjoy the rest of it, but just be aware of those small audio issues. All right, thanks, and back to your regularly scheduled Cinema Talk.
Yeah, I really like Up, and I mean, it's just like the story is really sad. Like, you can talk about all the other movies and how emotionally deep they are. Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc. They all have really good sentimental cores, but Up is just like tragic. I mean, you have this old man who essentially has nothing to live for, and so he goes on this huge life-changing adventure. And then you have this little boy who really doesn't have a family at all to speak of, who's drastically in need of one. You have a dog who's constantly being made fun of, with a master who's like obsessed and insane. And together they kind of make a perfect trio.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty behind the characters themselves, which they're beautiful character designs, by the way. The animation in the film is wonderful.
Yeah, I've always liked how colorful the balloons are. Like, just, it's such an iconic image, and I like how just incredibly vibrant and beautiful the colors of the balloons are as they carry the sort of stoic-looking house into the sky.
Yeah, I remember the first teaser poster they came out with for Up was just that house with balloons. And I looked at it and I'm like, what the hell am I looking at? I'm just like, what could this possibly be?
I feel like
result.
on a personal note, I'm going to become Carl. That's what I'm going to be. He's a grumpy ass old man.
Riding up that little chair thing to Beethoven.
Hell yeah. That chair thing is awesome. What, you don't want that?
I would love that. I never said no. But it's a great movie. It's got a great it's got a great heart. And that's really why people love it so much. The characters are very relatable. The entire situation that the movie goes on about is just so relatable. And I think by the end of it, you are just so encapsulated by the characters and their lives, and it's just wonderful. And
I liked how who was it? I don't remember the secondary character, like the Boy Scout. What's his name?
I never remember his name. Russell?
Kevin? Russell? Something like that.
Russell. I think it's
Russell. I liked how, I don't know, I mean, he was like, instead of just going for the typical just white Boy Scout, they just went for somebody Asian, and that, that's just fine. There was nothing wrong with that. By the way, I have been to the ice cream place that they go to in the movie. Fenton's, I've been there, and it's awesome.
Are you serious? That's a real place?
Yeah, it's a real
That's
place
cool.
in Oakland, California, because Pixar is based in Albany, which is right next to Oakland, and it's a great little ice cream place, and it's really cool. Yeah, Fenton's has great ice cream. If you're in the area, definitely check out Fenton's. Not only is it where Up, it's not only recommended by Pixar, it's recommended by me, so you should totally go.
Obviously. So that's Up. Great movie.
And I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll hear of it from Sean.
Indeed. Sean's probably going to kill us.
Yeah, there's a reason why we didn't talk about the opening sequence. Because Sean's got that covered.
Oh, God. Anyway, so now we move on. We kind of mentioned this before, but now we're going to talk about it again. We got Toy Story 3. Now, this was the wrap-up to the infamous trilogy. I think this is personally my favorite of the trilogy. Just because of how real it gets. At the furnace scene. Oh, my God.
Toy Story 3 represents, for me, the peak of Pixar. That was their peak. That, they were just in the sky. And, yeah, that was just... It's I think I'm going to say the incinerator sequence is perhaps one of the greatest scenes in animation.
Oh man, it's so, the faces they give, barely a word is spoken in that scene, but just the faces they all give and the characters, you know these characters so well, and you're about to see them die. They don't end up dying, thank God. But I mean, you see it, and you're oh man, it nearly got me in tears. And I think Toy Story 3, I feel that Toy Story 3, each movie deals with a different character's crisis. You have Toy Story 1 deals with Buzz's, and his kind of, I'm a toy, and there's millions more of me, and I'm not that special. And then you have Jesse's, who's always forgotten about, I'm not that special. And then Woody, who has his owner leaving him. He no longer has purpose. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot of really deep stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, it is sort of a transition from heaven to goes from purgatory to hell to sort of heaven. It's like kind of their death. It's like the end.
Exactly.
It really does. It really does mean the end. And I think that it's kind of weird. It had to be pointed out to me, but like somebody did point out that the whole like arc of Toy Story 3 is pretty much the same as Toy Story 2. With they go to all the toys go to a place they're not familiar with. They meet this really nice old toy who's really nice to them and stuff, and it turns out he's super evil and super psychotic.
Well, I think Lotso is a lot more understandable than Pete is.
Yeah, I think so too. Pete is sort of just like, I want to be known, I want to be remembered. Like Lotso is just frustrated.
Lotso has a legitimate reason to be angry.
Yeah, and it's tragic. It's like it's really sad. I'm kind of I'm not mad, but I'm frustrated that like I had to grow up in which I was just a few years behind, so I couldn't be like relate to the Andy exactly as a college student. I was still in the middle of high school back when the movie came out, but at the time, holy crap, I was convinced it was like the greatest animated movie of all time. I have since detracted that because I've not seen every animated movie, but it still made such an impression, and it was such an excellent conclusion. Like I'm not gonna is it the best? I don't know, but it's certainly it certainly is a film that like really does represent everything that Pixar does so very, very well.
Indeed. I like it a lot. Definitely has great elements. But then you go from such a high point with Toy Story 3.
As I said, it was the peak of Pixar.
Yeah,
and as we all know, peaks are not really big. They're just kind of, it's one. It's like usually just one note. And then
you hit such a low after that. It shocks me that Cars 2 made its way out of production after Toy Story 3.
Well, Cars it's a very marketable franchise.
It is.
It could, it means maybe Pixar gets the money it needs for the more ambitious projects they have.
Now, I have to admit something. Cars 2 is the only Pixar film I have not watched in full.
Really? Honestly, yes. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay.
I watched the first half. Honestly. I watched the first half, and I was done. After
really?
The first half. I did not listen. Mater.
I know. Giving Mater's storyline was stupid, but
tolerable in the first film. Here, he's. Oh my god! I wanted to rip my hair out. I was sick of Larry the Cable Guy and his character. I was sick of it.
See, one of the things I liked that it did, that going on a positive note, is the fact that it did expand the world of Cars, which I always wanted to see, like seeing what Tokyo would be like, see what London would look like, because it's all controlled by cars. But using Mater as the vehicle, no pun intended, using as the vehicle for that exploration, I wasn't a big fan. At the same time, though, Lightning McQueen is a very uninteresting character, and he's voiced by Owen Wilson, who I just find just awful. So, I mean, it was the lesser of two evils, I suppose.
And you think Larry the Cable Guy is not?
No, I just think he's just like annoying and irritating.
He's so annoying and irritating. And not only that, but how in the world? How can you mistake Mater for a spy? Like when that moment happened in the film, I was done. Like I was that much.
What if? I mean, come on, Larry. Suspension of disbelief.
No. I was done. That moment was the first moment of logic where I was like, no, and no. That would never happen in a realistic society. I don't care if you're an animated film. You still got to keep some sort of realism. That would never happen. I'll be the same. Like I was pretty much just dragging my way through it, and by the last half, I was done. If
you go past that, though, it's a good movie. It's very blatant about its message. It's like the opposite of Monsters Inc. It's not subversive. It's just versive.
Yeah, it's like it's beautiful animation, and it's got a nice world.
Yeah,
besides for that,
I think it's okay. I think it's not going to be one of Pixar's best. If it got them the money to make like other more ambitious projects, then totally cool, because it's a harmless little animated flick.
I will say though,
the thing is,
sorry, you go first.
Well, no, the thing is, just I think what pissed a lot of people off was that it was a harmless little animated flick. That's not Pixar. That's DreamWorks, which at the time was kind of being like known for its films that were just completely inferior to Pixar. Like, just it was the first time that people were like, "Oh my god, Pixar, is not the gods we think they are." I love Pixar to death, and I will always see their movie.
I agree
most of the time. But I think that was the moment for a lot of people where they're like, oh my god, Pixar isn't a bunch of wizards. They're also capable of making movies that I don't like.
I mean, it's just like, first of all, why the hell was Cars 2 made? Why not
Because
The
it's a
Incredibles 2?
marketable franchise. It's for money.
Pixar has never been one to submit to marketing as creative ideas go. That's
to be
never
fair,
been
though,
a thing.
the first movie was about toys. I mean,
Okay, yeah, but how long did it take them to make Toy Story 3?
took
Be
a
honest
while.
with me.
I
And,
mean,
then,
they
Toy
used-
Story is even more marketable than Cars. Buzz
even-
Lightyear is eternal.
And even with that said, Toy Story 3 was kind of like, it was sort of marketed for both reasons of it's a sequel to Toy Story and also sort of nostalgia, because a lot of people who watched Toy Story 1 and 2 back then were now adults and could just go see it because, oh my god, it's Toy Story. Which is sort of similar to another film that's coming up in this conversation, but like, it's honestly, I don't find much reason to get annoyed about Cars 2. It's just a harmless little animated flick, and that's all it is.
It didn't need a sequel, though. And I feel that if Pixar was kind of managing their time elsewhere, we wouldn't have Strike 2, which was Brave.
Now, see, the thing is, Larry, I've never seen Brave.
Okay, good. So you can let me rant about it for just a couple of minutes. Look, I'm not gonna listen, Max. I'm gonna be honest. You can skip it. It was marketed. If you remember the marketing, it was marketed as a very darker, a much more adult movie.
I was reading up how the female character was supposed to be really strong and stuff, and that's what a lot of people were like saying. This is gonna be the first. It was the first Pixar movie with a female lead, and I was like, awesome.
Yeah, and it looked to have a darker tone. It looked to be more realistic. It looked to be a little magical and wizard-like, with its weird heresy kind of thing that they pull. And they were building up this big twist. Big twist. I'm not going to tell you what it is, Max, because you're probably going to want to see it after what I say. But the twist completely ruins the film. And I don't usually say that about a lot of films, because most of the time, twists in films don't really bother me. Like in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I thought you were going to bring that up.
Yeah, when the big Mandarin twist came up, I was like, okay, cool.
I was totally like behind it. I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. This is an excellent twist. But you're telling me, and same thing goes with me for Fight Club, and same thing goes for me with like a bunch of movies that like have great twists. But let's look, in this case, it seems like Brave just okay. Here's a question. Was it like in Dark Knight Rises where it was just a twist for the sake of being a twist and didn't actually like really lead up to anything and didn't make you look at the story differently? Because that's the worst kind of twist.
It wasn't a twist to be a twist. I think that... No, see, for a twist to be a twist, it actually has to have meaning, and it has to actually change up the film.
Well, yeah, but there is a distinction between like a twist like an Iron Man 3 or Fight Club that like completely changes your viewpoint of the story, and then a twist that you couldn't have possibly seen coming that's just like unfair.
It changes my viewpoint of the story. I'm
not talking about quality-wise. I'm talking about just how you perceive it, how you see the story. Like, have you seen Fight Club?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, like that twist, whatever it is, I'm not going to say it because, spoilers, but like that twist completely changed my outlook of how the story was going, about how everything played out. Does Braves do that? Like, not in terms of quality, but in terms of just how you see it, in terms of is it a paradigm shift?
Not really. I mean, to be the only way, see, the whole story is about a girl who is not getting along with her mother.
Oh.
And obviously the whole point of the movie is that
I can relate to that.
They see eye to eye on it now. So if you really want to look at the twist that way, it doesn't do anything. The story still ends up exactly how it is. This twist happens. Now I don't think you understand. This twist is not like in the last third. This twist happens after the first third of the movie. This is the twist that pushes the movie's events forward. Mm-hmm. This is what causes the movie to be the movie it is. And it completely turns the film at a total 180. After the twist happens, the film goes completely downhill and it completely changes. It completely ruins what was making it so good. The first third of Brave is perfect Pixar. Everything about it is great. Beautiful animation. Great music. Lovable characters. A great script. Everything. And then the twist happens and I was just let down completely.
That hair.
That
is
hair,
so detailed.
it's so good. The first third
Well, okay,
is just wonderful.
okay, why is it called Brave? Is anybody in the movie or anything like that called Brave at all?
Because it's a character trait. It's a
that's
character
it?
trait. Just, yeah, that's it.
I don't know. I think you could find some kind of other stuff. Whatever. But is the character is she like a good, rounded female character?
I guess she's a good character. I wouldn't say that she's anything new or interesting.
Yeah. A lot of people think that the reason why Brave won the Academy Award for was because it was progressive to the point where people were like not going to get mad about it. They were just like, oh, that's good.
I don't think Brave deserved that award at all.
Well, the thing is, what drove me nuts was that it was the same year that Wreck-It Ralph came out, and I totally thought that Wreck-It Ralph was going to totally take it and like fucking yeah. But instead of complaining about Oscars, which is kind of just like dust in the wind or whatever, so Brave was bad, and
I did not like Brave. I think it's probably I haven't seen Cars 2 in full, so maybe the second half gets better. But I think Brave, as far as I've seen, is the weakest. I think Cars, while I don't like it, it stays at a consistent rate of mediocrity throughout the entire thing. Brave was just so good in the beginning. Yeah. It was Max, this movie was so good in the beginning. I even made a note of it to my father. Like, I was watching this with my father in the theater. I told him, it's like, this is amazing. Like, I literally said that.
And then the twist happens, and everything just falls apart.
And then the twist happens, and it shot itself in the foot.
All right. Completely. Anyway, Larry, I think we've heard enough of Brave. Let's move on to a movie that I was pleasantly surprised by, Monsters University.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I think it was a very unnecessary sequel. I don't think prequel. I don't think we needed to really know about this, but at the same time, it was such a great I'm going to say it's a great film. It deserves to be put maybe not next to Monsters Inc., but just a little bit below it. And like a bunch of and other stuff. Like I like it more than Ratatouille or Up, personally. Like I like it more, I like it more than a lot of the Pixar movies because it's really funny and it doesn't it's the best kind of lighthearted animation where it doesn't try to be really deep. It's just well made. Like it just works. It's self-aware. Kind of like in the same vein as like The Emperor's New Groove, I guess.
Oh, The Emperor's New Groove.
Which you and I both love. And
I love The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, it's a really funny movie with an excellent soundtrack, and just it's got a great story. And I like the direction it takes at the end. Again, it's that Pixar storytelling.
Yeah.
It doesn't do exactly what you think it's going to do. It does something different, and I really like that. It's like I don't really want to spoil it because it's a really nice, not twist, but it's just like a nice story. It's just like a nice part of the story. And honestly, I suggest anybody who is skeptical about it because of Brave, because of Cars 2, should definitely go check it out. Again, it's not, it's not really subversive. It's not really anything that like Pixar is known for, but like it's really nice. It's just funny and fun and just really, really beautiful. I mean, I don't know about Brave, Larry, because I haven't seen it, but God, Monsters Inc. is just incredible. I mean,
Very
Monsters
colorful.
University. In fact, I actually watched Monsters University. I was screening it at my movie club, which gets, like in a big movie theater, and it was just one of the most fun experiences I've had just watching a movie about college. Like, there was this one part in the movie where they're walking by all these clubs, and there's an art club. You see a monster just like stick his head in a bunch of paint and splat it on an empty canvas, and everybody just freaking shouted and just like went crazy because it was so funny. It was like this movie got like the whole university vibe, not as much as other like more realistic portrayals of college, but I'm gonna say this right now, Larry. I'm gonna say this right now. Monsters University is basically film school. The scaring department, it's film school. No, seriously. And that makes sense because these guys went to film school because, they're filmmakers. So, maybe that's why I like it so much. There are so many reasons why I think Monsters University is just a really awesome film. I don't know, Larry. I've just been going on and on, but what do you think?
Here's me and Monsters University, right? So Cars 2 comes out, and I'm like, oh, Pixar. And
Brave comes out.
Yeah, and then right, and so I'm like, okay, Brave looks to be good. Come on, we can do this, Pixar. Brave comes out, complete disappointment. So I'm just like, okay, this is bad. 2 strikes. What's going on with Monsters University? And I was blown away by just how much fun I had watching this movie.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and honestly, maybe that's not what people look for, but I think it's really awesome. Honestly, I'm glad we're in agreement on that.
I agree. I love its ending. Although in some ways it ruins the chronology in how that's a prequel and how Monsters Inc. is a sequel to the prequel.
Yeah.
Just about how it handles it, but I still love it. I still think
Yeah.
it's a
And
great
I love
ending.
all the characters and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's really
It's
cool.
like
It was
the
so
best-
cool.
Like the best
fact,
endings.
Yeah.
I just need to make this one quick point. The best endings are the ones where like you think the movie's gonna end, and then you see it go on, and you're like, oh no, it's going on. But then by the end of it, you're like, wait, that was great. That was good.
Yeah.
Good.
I was like,
Good
it
on
goes in a
that.
direction that you didn't expect, and I mean, again, I'm not gonna. We shouldn't spoil it because it's a really, really good, really
Yeah.
nice, and very honest ending. It's a really nice thing to say to kids because I mean, in this world, like, there's a certain expectation for children when it comes to education, and I like how Monsters University took a derivative and didn't go the route that many would take. That right there, that is symbolic. Like, the ending of Monsters University is symbolic of why Pixar is Pixar and why everyone else is everyone else. So, now we reach 2013, and Larry, there's no Pixar movie.
2014, man.
Oh, 14. Dang it.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
We reached 2014, and there's no Pixar movie. Where'd it go? What happened? Well,
I guess they're working on stuff.
yeah, it's at the you see, people have been like, oh my god, Pixar only does sequels now because Finding Dory was confirmed and all this other stuff. Actually, right now, two completely original IPs are in development, and I'm totally excited for both because they're both slated to come out in 2015. Larry, have I told you about this? Have I told you? Do you know about these films?
I already know them.
Inside Out is the one I'm most excited for. Basically, the movie's it takes place inside the mind of a little girl. Like, as she moves from one place to another, I believe she moves from somewhere to San Francisco, and the characters are her emotions as she as she enters this new like world of hers. And I think I love that. It's diving into psychology, which is something that Pixar hasn't tackled yet that I'm really excited to see. Plus,
That
Lewis
is perfect
Black voices
Pixar.
anger. We have different emotions, and I think that's awesome. The other movie coming out is called The Good Dinosaur. I'm not sure about the plot of that movie, but I know that it's like, it's going to be an original thing. Do you know, Larry? Do you know The Good Dinosaur?
I think it's like what happened if a dinosaur survived after the big accident. But I mean, that one looks a little weaker. I want to talk about Inside Out a little bit because that movie looks very interesting.
I think both of these movies are supposed to come out this year, so I hope we get a teaser trailer sometime in the summer or something.
Yeah, they're supposed to come out in 2015. I think Inside Out is perfect Pixar. That movie is the kind of movie that Pixar does.
Yeah,
And
it feels
that
like
Pixar grabs
Pixar.
onto.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's been a
exactly.
while, but I think this is going to feel like hopefully this will be like the first honest Pixar movie since Toy Story 3.
Right. But now I just want to take a step back. I want to talk about why we love Pixar so much. And,
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think
wait, hold on.
after-
And then, hold on. I just want to just like real quick go through the history of Pixar real quick. I mean, not the future of Pixar, because there are two more movies, both sequels. Finding Dory, which is supposed, which people are getting excited for, and The Incredibles 2, which is only confirmed and won't be out for like 5 years. So anyway, Larry, why do we love Pixar? It's kind of obvious, isn't it?
So I think the reason Pixar works so well is because it dives into what nobody else wants to dive into. And not only that, Max, you made a video a while back about children's animated films in extra credit style, which I really liked.
I did. You can
good
find a
on
link in
you.
the description. Yeah.
Yeah, good on you. It's in your point that you made at the end of the video is that the best kinds of children's films are the ones that aren't directly made for children.
Yeah.
And I think that works perfectly when it comes to Pixar. For
In
example,
fact, that whole video was based around Toy Story.
right. See, so like let's talk about this for example. So we have movies like Toy Story and Monsters Inc., which deal with very psychological subjects about insignificance as a person, and then you have when you have to go against authority, and when you love something so much.
Yeah.
You have those things. And then you have movies like Cars 2 and Brave, which deal with cliche subjects, which are mostly made of, comic relief, gags, because I'll just say the twist in Brave kind of leads it down a very slippery...
So, okay,
yes.
so this acknowledges, let's just acknowledge, Larry, I think it's good for both us who are big Pixar fans to acknowledge that Pixar are not like transcendent. They're not like,
not at all.
these guys are just as capable of making bad movies as anybody else. And that's totally okay, because I mean, we're only human. These guys aren't wizards, as I've said before. So yeah, we have these great movies like Toy Story and Monsters Inc., and these movies like Cars 2 and Brave, but that's okay, because the movies that stand out are the ones that they aren't made for kids. And I mean,
Right.
to be fair though, Cars 2 had had themes about the oil industry and whatnot. I mean, the energy crisis and whatnot, though it wasn't very subversive. Maybe not made for kids, but still, it still has that Pixar storytelling where it never goes where you think it's going to go.
I agree. And there's just so much heart, to these movies. You can tell the people who make them, Brad Bird, Andy Stanton, all these people, John Lasseter. These people who make these movies want to make movies to make movies. They're not making movies for money. They're not making movies for investors. They're not making movies because, I have a day job. I might as well do my job. No.
Well, I mean, with the exception of Cars 2, which, it may have been a big advertisement, but whatever. Even with Brave, which apparently was which I've heard overall was an ambitious misfire. I mean, they still tried to do it because, they wanted to say something. Apparently.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and even if the movie didn't turn out very well, that's okay. Because they still wanted to do something different.
Yeah, and you know what? Even I might, bash on Cars 2, but you know what? I forgot to mention the score is excellent in that movie, by the way. I listened to it in concert. Really good. I never realized that until I saw it in concert. But anyway, but going back to Cars 2, even if I may bash on Cars 2 as much as I want, I still will say that there was probably good intentions behind it. That Pixar is like the dictionary picture to good intentions. Everything they do has such heart behind it and such legitimacy. And I think that's why we love them so much. They come up with these great ideas and they really take time to make sure they come out as good as they do.
Apparently, I heard that Disney had to come to them to beg for Toy Story 2, and they were like, "No, we're not going to do Toy Story 2." And Disney had to just get on their knees and just just beg until they finally said yes. And instead of just phoning it in and being like, "Let's focus on other projects," Pixar made just basically a sequel that felt so like a sequel that it almost felt like it was planned from the beginning to be a sequel, for Toy Story to have a sequel. So that's the kind of heart that goes into it. Even if they're asked to do something for the sake of continuing a franchise and for, selling toys, basically, they make some of the best stuff. I mean, to be honest, Larry, the more I think about it, the more I realize films like the Lego Movie feel like Pixar stuff, even if it's not from Pixar.
Indeed.
And the same thing goes for stuff like Paranorman and Coraline and the new movie Box Trolls coming out. Those guys, I don't know, Pixar seems to just radiate all the best qualities about animated movies. And I'm glad... And even though I'm not so glad to see that they've kind of fallen off over the past few years, it's nice to see that everybody else is finally catching up and finally making great movies that are designed, that kind of designed around the Pixar storytelling model and not just the animation model. You know what I mean?
I agree. I understand what you're talking about completely. I love that Pixar has kind of set a standard, like you said. It's like these ideas are some of the most brilliant ideas in all of animation. Especially with Inside Out. I think that's going to put Pixar back on top.
I hope so. We can't guarantee anything, but I hope so. Hopefully it's not a well-intentioned misfire like Brave.
Monsters University got itself back up, and I think Monsters University did that was because Pixar gave trust back to the original people who made it what it is. And I think that's why it worked so well. Because Brave and Cars 2 were handled by different directors who weren't as familiar. I don't believe so. If they weren't as familiar with Pixar and how they roll.
I believe Cars 2 was John Lasseter. Pretty sure it was John Lasseter. Yeah, I believe so.
Well,
I think I can't guarantee that. Yeah.
Well, maybe he was just a producer or something. If he was,
but anyway, Larry, let's wrap this up.
Right.
So, yes. Our good listeners are probably really excited to go watch some Pixar movies after hearing us talk about it.
Guys, go watch some Pixar movies. Tell us in the comments down below what is your favorite Pixar movie. If you
what is
really
your favorite?
Have to choose.
Everybody's got their different ones. Like Sean loves Up, you love Ratatouille, I love The Incredibles, and I like how we all have. It's not like I enjoy it because superhero movies, or I enjoy it because it's about cooking, or I enjoy it because it's it's in the jungle or whatever. No, it's we all love these movies because of such deep and just very I don't like to use this word often, but analytical reasons, like how storytelling is done. Pixar has become though it may not be on top of things they used to be, Pixar has become an inspiration for I think a lot of animated animated storytellers, and that's great. I think maybe
I agree.
All right, now, Larry, can we wrap this up so I can go watch some Pixar?
Yes, we'll wrap this up. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Cinema Talk. Once again, leave a comment down below telling us what you thought of this conversation, as well as what your favorite Pixar films are. Also, just to tie this whole entire thing, you can check out a review with brevity of Ratatouille, which is now on rulethirds.com.
Hey Larry, when are we going to get back to normal with these reviews? I mean, it's probably best to put that out. When are we getting back to business? Because there was supposed to be a video Amazing Spider-Man 2 review from you and me, but that didn't happen because I'm very busy.
Oh, well, Max, glad that you asked. Hopefully if all goes well, damn it, I almost called us our old name. Crap. Rule of Thirds will be returning back into the spotlight with our video review of Godzilla. When it comes out. Godzilla! When it comes out this Friday, as this is being recorded.
No, it's actually next Friday. Larry,
Well,
it's actually
the
next
review
Friday.
will come out next Friday. The movie's coming out.
No. The movie's coming out on the 17th, not the 9th.
What?
Yep.
What?
You see, what's funny is that May actually has like this one day, like this 1 week where nothing where nothing big is coming out, and that's weird, isn't it? We'll find out something to do. Don't worry, Larry. But with that said, I think it's time to say goodbye.
Oh, okay. Well, stay tuned for our episode on Godzilla, I guess. And also, another episode of The Greats will be coming to you approximately 1 week from today.
And something new, perhaps. Something new. Something around the corner that you may not have expected, but honestly, doesn't matter. Don't think about it right now. And if you don't think about it, then it'll be a surprise when it happens.
All right. Well, hi guys. My name's Larry.
And my name is Max. I hope I made that clear. It's Max.
And thanks for watching. I'm gonna go watch some Pixar movies.
Yeah, me too.
Let's go.
All right, out of here.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.